what's up, y'all? It's Jordan here today. Well, like every day, it's always gonna be me. So today, instead of building synthesizers or sounds of that course, excuse me, I have a bit of meat stuck in my throat. Anyways, today we're gonna be making kick-ass drums. In order to create kick-ass drums, I'm only going to use the samples I hear inside the Kong drum kit sounds. So right off the bat, I'm going to create a combinator. I'm going to go in here and create a Kong drum designer. It's called designer, but anyways, for each of these pads, I'm just going to load in a template I made a while back. It's just called a it's just one of my custom patches that it's just a template. So we're gonna go to drums, templates, nano, and then nano patch. And each one of these cells are a nano. So I can load in an individual sample. So I'm gonna go into Kong patches, Kong sounds and samples, and I'm gonna look for a cool bass kick. So this BD Barge TSB, this sounds like a good kick. Yeah, it sounds pretty good. For the second one, well, for the first one, I'm gonna name this kick 1. For the second one, I'm going to call kick 2. The top ones, I'm going to call hat 1, hat 2, ride, and crash. For the third cell, I'm going to call this clap. Fourth cell, I'm going to call snare. I'm going to call this percussion 1, perk 1, perk 2, and perk 3. So for the second kick, I'm going to look for another low snare, a low kick, I'm sorry. So this buck is a good one, and I'm actually going to, on the amp envelope, I want to turn up the attack so that way we don't get that initial stab. So that sounds a little bit better. And for the clap cell, I'm going to look at claps. I like this basic SHA1, and for the snare, I'm gonna open up snares. Here we go. Big gun snare, hat 1. Let's look for hat, basic hats. This chicky one is good. Now let's look up for hat 2. Candy sounds pretty good. Now let's look for a ride. Cymbals. That ride will work, and we're actually going to pitch that up. So. Take out the decay. Pitch it. That works. And for a crash, we're going to look at crashes. Sugar is perfect. Percussion 1, we're going to need blips. Blippy sounds. Just found sounds. No, I guess not. not loops, tonal, nope, percussion, here we go. Electronics. This click BL one, that's good. We're gonna use that one. Percussion 2. This electric bongo is good. And for perk 3, we're gonna find another percussion. This minimal, that one sounds pretty good, SHA. So now I'm gonna bring in my tool window and we're gonna make a basic beat. Let me see if it's on this other monitor I have plugged in. Oh. And window, show tool. Yes, it is on this other monitor. Alright, so we're gonna set this to fourths. We're gonna turn up the BPM to 128. And we're gonna create a very basic pattern with the kicks and loop it. Pre. Yeah, that'll work. And we don't have to go all the way, just a little bit, because we can hold down Alt and drag it across to create that full-length bar. So that's perfect. So I'm going to, for this line 1, I'm going to call kick 1. For the second note, let's see. I'm going to use these hats. I'm going to change the value to 8s. And just create a pattern like that. Something like that. So I'm going to quantize while recording and hit record. And for this last one, I'm going to re-record that since it doesn't sound that great. Actually, I'm going to redo the whole thing. Ooh, that was close. Simply because it's very hard for me to follow along with drums, and even though I'm a drummer, I'm a little bit more spastic. So, here we go. Okay, this part right here, it's very hard to get drums down the way you want them to. It's pretty hard. So I'm just gonna delete that one, and I'm gonna copy this one from another time, get the rhythm down, and then consolidate the whole thing. So now we have our second line. We'll call this hats and ride. So now that we have that, we're gonna add a clap and snare. So on every other fourth, on every other beat we're going to hit the clap or the snare. For now, I'm going to use the claps. And it's okay if you're off-timed. It doesn't, the quantization will already align it. So now we're going to do that same thing, but with the snares on every other clap. So now we have our snares. And for now, we're going to add in percussion 1. So I'm going to call this lane perc 1 and 2. Let me change this perc 2 a little bit higher. That works. So on every 3 and 6 and 9, right before, we're going to add a little bit of percussion bits. So I'm going to turn this to 1/16 and hit record. So that sounds a little bit better. So for this one, I'm going to call this perc 3. And then we will have our drums already laid out. So I'm going to hit record, and on every 2, 4, on every 1, 2, 4, 5, 7, and 8. There's going to be percussion with this. So it's actually on every bar that I put it on there, but now that we have our drums, I'm going to beef these up a bit. So I'm going to right click on the con. I'm going to go to my equalizer. I'm not going to compress it, there's no reason to. And I'm going to go to my Scream 4 distortion after it, and then I'm going to maximize it. So for the low shelf, we're also going to do a low cut, so that way we can add a sub bass later on. So about 205, I'm going to turn it up, and about 2.5 with the second parameter, I'm going to turn it up a bit. Turn up the Q on both of these. There we go. Now we don't need to add any high shelf. So for the Scream 4, I'm going to turn it to tape. I'm going to turn P1 and P2 all the way up. Put the damage control about 40. This gives you a nice, rich, old sound. I'm going to take off the limiter, put the soft clip about 100%, and let's have a listen. I'm actually going to boost the output to about 4. And I'm actually going to cut this first bar and delete the rest. Duplicate this first bar all the way across because something in it does not sound right. So there we go. So I'm gonna save this as Quarky Electro drums. I'll put it in my drums, electronic, and save. Now there are other drum kits that I've made with other samples, and it's best to always get a producer loops or a loop master's free drum pack, simply because the stuff and reason will get used a lot, and it's very hard to get very diverse drums than just typical sounding. So let's hear what my minimal deep kit sounds like. Okay. I guess this wasn't a very good example of my other drums, but nonetheless, you get the idea, and I'll see you next time.